What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Sunday morning episode of the Daily Juice Podcast. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all of my socials at Sports Talk Matt, and we are back after another flat day. Flat on Friday, flat on Saturday. It's losing, technically, but it's not all that bad, but it's not all that good either. We wind up getting the Kansas game right and the Vegas Aces game right, but we got the K-State game wrong and the Yankees game way wrong. So we end up going 2-2. Like Friday, though, we're down 0.1 units. That is a paper cut. That is nothing. It's essentially a flat day. That should say Saturday, not Friday on your screen. I apologize for that, but that's a 2-2 mark. So we're 3-3, okay? 3-3 over the last 2 days. Yesterday, I was mad at the K-State offense. I don't know what that was. I mean, K-State is a run-first team, and they kept on throwing the football with Avery Johnson, and things went south very quickly. He had a couple of good plays and deep passes in the second half. I understand that, but I could not understand the game plan for Kansas State up against Iowa State, and they equally did not know what to do when Iowa State started to crowd the line of scrimmage and make them pass. Avery Johnson, oh boy. So that Heisman Trophy candidacy, goodbye. That's dead. See you later. I told you about the UNLV game, and I'm glad that I didn't bet that officially. It ended up going over, but I was very worried about UNLV because that number went from 24 to 31.5, and I couldn't figure out why. UNLV wins, but they won by 7 points. They were down at the break to Idaho State in the first game for Dan Mullen. So, I mean, they won the game, okay? But they got UCLA coming up next, and that's not a good start for UNLV. Also, just given the fact that Barry Odom had such a culture built that I think Dan Mullen's going to take some time to really get his own feet underneath him. So I didn't get the line move going from 24 to 31.5. That should have been a play on the dog. But as I said last night, I would have bet 24. I would have bet it. If it stayed as is, I would have bet it. And I would have been wrong. But it was a good read by me to say, whoa, what's going on? Why are we doing that? So we got out of that. The Hawaii-Stanford game was crazy. Closed 2.5. Hawaii wins the game over Stanford by 3. So they covered on that one. The over did go in for Western Kentucky. So first weekend of college football, 1-1. It's not horrible. It's not great either, but the Kansas game, they just boat raced Fresno and give Rex Byers tip of the cap to Rex. Again, for that handicap was great. It was dead on. He thought it should have been 21. He's right. Dead on KU. And KU to win the Big 12. Told you about that. 14-1. Big 12's wide open. I mean, wide open. The conference does not have an elite team. So maybe KU has something to say about that. So because I went flat Friday, flat on Saturday, I don't like anything in baseball today. I don't like anything in the WNBA today. I just bet football. It was so much fun. We should be betting NFL football today, and we're not going to do that, unfortunately, for a while because we got 2 weeks till the start of the regular season, or really like 9 days to the start of the regular season. And on top of that, we've got a very big college football weekend coming up over Labor Day where we'll play games on Friday or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. All games to bet on in college football. So I'm not really all that interested in betting baseball today. Red Sox probably sweep the Yankees, but you want to talk about a team desperate? My gosh. Yankees are in such a big need for a win after getting worked 12-1 by the Red Sox yesterday. So, I don't like betting baseball on Sunday, and it's a perfect day just to kind of take a breath, all right? I'm going to fill up our NFL futures here today. 4 of them. I'm going to give you 4 official plays for us here this season in the NFL. I've already given you out a couple of them, but I've been more heavy in the college football ranks from a future perspective. Now I can give you the NFL version of it with 4 bets, all futures for the NFL. One's a prop, couple of one win total, and 2 others in the futures market to give you guys coming up here for today. Before I give you the NFL futures for today's Sunday Daily Juice, let me tell you a bit about what's happening for the app. If you guys have not downloaded the Bettingpros app, do so. We got a big update coming this week on this thing. Download the free Bettingpros app for iOS and Android with Sportsbook Sync. You can automatically track your bets across all major sportsbooks in one spot. You can easily monitor your bet performance by sport and bet type, including game picks, props, and parlays. Create custom betting systems to find trends and profitable opportunities. And you can always get that 7-day free trial of Bettingpros Premium with the code JUICE. Bettingpros Premium, code is JUICE for a 7-day free trial. In the upgrade screen, go and download the Bettingpros app today. All right, let's start. Got a couple of schedules I want to put up on the screen for you guys as we go through this conversation. Let's start with the Dallas Cowboys. You guys know that nobody goes back-to-back in the NFC East, right? It just doesn't happen. Eagles last year got so lucky, and I mean so lucky, with their injuries. Saquon Barkley got ran into the ground and he didn't break. Giants fans have to sit there and watch that all last year going, when's he going to get hurt? When's he going to get hurt? And he never got hurt. And it happened all the way to the Super Bowl when Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles just ran over everybody. However, I don't think that happens again. I think there's going to be injuries for the Eagles. I think Saquon Barkley gets hurt at some point during the season. I think the Eagles defense is going to show some signs of taking a step backwards. And I think the Commanders are going to be a problem for themselves. I think the Commanders defense is garbage. It looks like garbage. They haven't upgraded in key positions. They can score on anybody, but they'll give up anybody, scoring by anybody. I don't think that's a recipe for success, especially when the weather turns, for them to go and win football games if their defense can't stop anybody and you can run the ball down their throats. The Dallas Cowboys are plus 650 to win the NFC East. Let me put the schedule up here for the Dallas Cowboys, okay? That's on the left-hand side of your screen. That's the Dallas Cowboys schedule. They open up at Philadelphia, which is going to be an absolute war, okay? They probably lose that game. But New York and Chicago are wins. Home for Green Bay is a battle, but a game that they can win. At the Jets and at Carolina, they should win both those games. Washington comes home. They should win that game in Dallas. And they go at Denver, where they'll probably lose, and they'll beat Arizona before the bye week. That is 9 games with most likely a 7-2 mark, maybe 6-3 mark for the Cowboys. They come out against Vegas, game they should win, coming here to the desert. Then Philadelphia at home, they'll probably split. They'll lose in Philly in week 1. They'll beat Philly at home. They have the Chiefs coming to town, which is not going to be easy. But Chiefs and Lions, they probably split that, right? So there's your 4th loss. And then the Minnesota and the Chargers, they probably split that. That's the 5th loss. And then at Washington and at New York are both games they can win. And both those teams may be totally out of it by the time those games are being played. And the Cowboys can win both those games. That's a 12-5 mark. 13-4 if things break the way they want them to for the Dallas Cowboys. You look at the division, and again, I'm not extraordinarily high like everybody else is. I'm not extraordinarily high with the Commanders. Last year, the Eagles won the division with a 14-3 record. The Commanders went 12-5, and the Cowboys went 7-10. First-year head coaches have done very well, and Schottenheimer might very well come in and do some big things with this team. And I know the Micah Parsons situation is concerning for the defense and been a distraction for the defense. But I think the offense is going to have a big year. And I think you're going to see a lot of points being scored by this Cowboys team, and they're going to throw the ball all over the place. I don't like Dak Prescott, okay? I don't. But I think Dak in the regular season, I think Dak has a pretty big year. The Cowboys had a negative 118 point differential last year. I don't think they're going to be that bad. I think they score way more than the 350 points they scored last year. It's a price bet. 1 unit at plus 650 on the Cowboys to win the division. I've lost a unit on stupider things. Cowboys to win the division, the NFC East here. They're the 3rd choice at most books, 650 to 550. Take them at 650. Cowboys plus 650 to win the NFC East. Okay, same slide. Let's go ahead and jump on this with the New York Giants. That is the Giants' schedule. The Giants, I have told you this all summer long, and I have not made this official yet, so I realized, oh my gosh, I have not talked about this play yet. I've got to give it out. I think the Cowboys win the NFC East, and I think the Giants are going to stink. The Giants' schedule is brutal. 5.5 is the win total. At Washington and at Dallas to start are both losses. They lose to Kansas City. They lose to the Chargers. They'll beat the Saints in October. That's a 1 win in the first 5-game start. They'll lose to Philly. They'll lose at Denver. They'll lose at Philly. They'll lose to San Francisco. They'll beat Chicago. Green Bay's a toss-up. They'll lose at Detroit. And then let's see what the Patriots look like between where they are. Because the Pats got smacked in the preseason. There might be payback coming there. That's 2 or 3 wins for the Giants when they hit their bye week in week 14. Okay? Then they play Washington at home. Let's say that's a win. Minnesota, that's a loss. At the Raiders. Raiders might need that game, and you're going all the way out west, and I think they lose to the Dallas Cowboys. I got 3 or 4 wins here for the New York Giants, and I know people are saying about their defense, they've got more talent. They may lose every game 13-10. I hope they play Jackson Dart early for my bet, to be quite honest. I very much want the Giants to play Jackson Dart. But I don't care who they play at quarterback. That schedule is absolutely brutal for the New York Giants. Under 5.5 wins for the New York Giants. 2 plays for us here in the NFC East. Cowboys to win the East at plus 650 for 1 unit. Giants under 5.5 wins at plus 110 for 1 unit. 2 plus money plays. Now, our guy Debro went on my other show, The Bostonian versus the Book, and gave us the Broncos to win the NFC West. Now, I'm not that bullish on the Broncos. I like them. Don't like them as much as a lot of people do. To win the West, you're going to need to put up a hell of a number. The Chiefs went 15-2 last year, and the Chargers went 11-6. But the Broncos went 10-7. The Broncos had the best point differential in the division at plus 114. The Broncos defense only gave up 311 points last year while scoring 425, and they've only gotten better. They've only added more talent, and Bo Nix is only going to get better. They're going to run the ball on anyone and everyone in the NFL. And if you look at the Broncos, I didn't put their schedule up because I don't really think I need to here, but their schedule is pretty easy, okay? Titans at the Colts, at the Chargers, Bengals to open up in the first 4 for them. That's 2-2 at worst. At the Eagles is probably a loss, but then they play the Jets, the Giants at home, the Cowboys at home. Game they should probably win. That's 3 wins right there. At the Texans, home for the Raiders and the Chiefs. Huge games there, but they should win the games at Mile High. At the Commanders and at the Raiders, games that they should be in with chances to win. Home for the Packers and Jaguars, should be wins there. And at the Chiefs and versus the Chargers, Debro likes them to win 13 games. I don't like them to win 13 games, but 10 is really, really possible for the Denver Broncos. 9.5 is plus money. It's kind of crazy. Denver won 10 games last year, and now 9.5 is considered to be the number? It's a little odd. Numbers should be 10.5. No, it's 9.5. Let's just take it. Broncos to go over 9.5 wins. Maybe they do win the division. You can double down if you want on them to win the division, but you're dealing with the Chiefs and the Chargers as to what they're going to look like this year. We don't need to worry about that. 10 wins and we're good. 9.5 for the Broncos. And I think their schedule with their quarterback, with their running game, with their defense, and that Mile High, once again, is a very difficult place to go and play. I think they're going to be very talented at home. They went 6-2 last year at home. Another mark like that, and the Broncos are going to wind up winning 10 games and going over a 9.5 win mark. Let's go with the Broncos. Over 9.5 wins at even money for 1 unit. And finally, one season-long player prop, and it's simply because I think Ashton Genty is going to get run into the ground. Debro likes him over on his rushing props for the season, but instead, I'm going to look at total touchdowns. It's 7.5 for Ashton Genty. He's going to get the rock. This is Pete Carroll, okay? Remember what happened in the Super Bowl against the Patriots with Pete Carroll and Marshawn Lynch. They're going to give the ball to Genty. He's going to be the number one weapon. He may vulture a ton of touchdowns from, guys that get tackled at the 1 or the 2. It's going to be Ashton Genty as just a sledgehammer to run the football in. Now, how good will the line be blocking for him? We'll see. But Genty is an absolute load. He's a problem. Over 7.5 touchdowns. I think he'll get the ball a ton. I think he'll score a ton. Ashton Genty is going to be the primary red zone weapon and for sure down by the goal line for the Raiders in this season. As long as he stays healthy, I think he goes over on this. Ashton Genty over 7.5 touchdowns. I think he scores a lot at -118. That's 1.18 units down. So our plays for our little NFL Futures Daily Juice podcast. Cowboys to win the East at +650. Broncos over 9.5 wins at even money. Ashton Genty over 7.5 touchdowns rushing at -118. And the Giants under 5.5 wins at +110 for 1 unit. We'll be back betting baseball coming up tomorrow, but it's a Sunday. And let's bet some NFL futures. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all my socials at Sports Talk Matt every morning, wherever you guys get your podcasts. It is the Daily Juice.